It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions.
Touchdown, San Diego!
Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Thursday? We do, you do. From the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, heading towards a great sports weekend, we welcome you to our Thursday podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host, the venerable John Riley, with his opinions from left field, and we welcome you to our podcast, brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of locations to serve you in San Diego. Been in business for more than 100 years. You got projects, they've got materials. You want ideas, they can be your consultant. Go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things they have to offer. DIXIELINE, a fabric of the community in San Diego. John Riley, is it kickoff time yet? My goodness, have we got about 5 days of electric football just ahead of us, just around the corner. Cannot wait, and there's a lot of topics on the table we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and I'm hearing all these news every other minute. There's like another coach getting fired.
Yeah, we're going to go a lot of different directions on this podcast. Just a point of order. We do sports talk the way we think it should be done. We put topics on the table, and then we express a lot of opinions off those topics. But when we are done, we do something different. We open it up to you to pull up a chair to sit next to us. It's giving you the opportunity to ask a question, make a statement, express an opinion, take a shot. It's what we call Fans Forum. John Riley, just explain for people on live stream who've never participated how they can be part of the podcast on Fans Forum.
Yeah, how can you be a part of it? So jump on board. You know, if you go into the live chat right there, you know, we got the live stream cooking. Go into the live chat there in the comment section on either Facebook, on X, or on YouTube. Type in your comment or question for Hacksaw. We'll get it up here on the screen. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
Fans Forum comes up the second half of the show when we're done with topics on the table. Just a reminder, and if I missed something, correct me.
Okay.
We're looking for more people to join our team. We want you to give us a thumbs up, hit the follow button, give us a 5-star rating, because your interaction, delivering a message to everybody else on social media about the type of content we do, what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30, helps us a great deal. Is that the correct way to phrase build the following?
Yeah, engagement is what works. That makes the algorithm work. So the more people like, follow, share, and subscribe, the more not only are you going to see of Hacksaw on your social feed, but other sports fans are going to see Hacksaw in their social feed.
Okay, we're ready to go. We got a lot of topics on the table. Buckle your seatbelt because we're going to move at warp speed because there's so many different things to talk about. Item 1, all things football.
Yeah, college football. Here we go. Miami, Ole Miss.
Let's talk about the semifinals of the playoff games. These are going to be special. Now, I don't know if Thursday night, Friday night can top what we saw last weekend. What we saw last week was pretty electric. Blowouts, shockers, surprises, statement wins, etc. But here we go. Ole Miss, Miami. They have not played each other since 1951. You got a very different Miami program with its great nostalgia against an upstart Ole Miss team who's doing things they have never, ever done. Obviously, there are a lot of personalities and a lot of dynamic players that we're going to pay attention to in this Thursday night semifinal game. Trinity Chambliss, the wide receivers, Stribling and Harrison Wallace, his great linebacker, Son Perkins. There's a lot of stars on this Ole Miss football team. And the intangible to me, John Riley, is that Ole Miss has been able to put the entire distraction of Lane Kiffin's decision to step out, then the fist fight, can I coach my team through the playoffs even though I'm going to be LSU's coach, then the ongoing rumblings is Kiffin tampering with Rebel players, and then the transfer portal window opens up in the middle of this whole playoff run. Ole Miss is so focused, and that new coach has kind of galvanized this team to the point that Chambliss and their lead running back, Kyle Lacey, say, We're coming back, and we're going to play at Ole Miss. We're not going with Kiffin to LSU. Now, only 2 of the assistant coaches that Kiffin allowed to coach last week have been allowed to come back to coach in this game, led by Charlie Weiss. 5 others have been asked to go to Baton Rouge and start working at LSU. And I'll tell you, nobody in Oxford's talking in good terms now about Lane Kiffin. But that being said, there's so many dynamic players that Ole Miss has come together as this thing is galvanized. This is interesting. Now, here's Miami. They are so different from what they used to be. There was a stretch of time, the Jimmy Johnson era, where they went 33-3 over about a 3-year span. And that was throwing the ball everywhere. That was the Michael Irvin era, et cetera, et cetera. It's a very different football team. These guys play rock-solid defense. And I'll tell you, they got 2 guys at the defensive end positions that rush the quarterback. That might be Chambliss in the pocket running for his life because of Reuben Baines and because of Keem Mesidar. Those 2 pass rushers have been spectacular. And at the back end, Kalante Scott has really been exceptional in the secondary. He, of course, is a San Diego kid. So this is going to be fun. Can that Kane pass rush disrupt the Rebel quarterback? Conversely, Miami loves to play power ball. Can Mark Fletcher run the football against a much tougher Ole Miss defense that anybody is paying attention to? And if Ole Miss can take away Mark Fletcher in the run game, that puts the ball in the hands of Carson Beck, that transfer quarterback at Miami, yes, he can throw some touchdown passes, but dude does throw a lot of interceptions. So, I mean, I think this is going to be a fascinating matchup, chess pieces. I think the world has become a Trinity Chambliss fan. I think the world is kind of rooting for Ole Miss because of what the hell Lane Kiffin tried to do to the program. And this is a radically different Michael Irvin, Ray Lewis, Miami Hurricane program than we've ever seen before. So I like this semifinal game. That first one, Miami Ole Miss. What do you think?
I love the whole, kind of us against the world, galvanizing the team for Ole Miss. But the way you explain this, have some of the assistant coaches for Ole Miss have left the team, won't be there for tonight's game because they're with Lane Kiffin.
They were part of a group that was allowed to coach the first game. And then he recalled 5 of them and said, I want you to come to Baton Rouge. We're dealing with a transfer portal thing here at LSU. You need to get on the job here. He allowed Charlie Weiss, and I think he allowed the running back coach to stay at Ole Miss, but he's taken everybody else.
But they'll all be there tonight, is that right?
2.
2 of them. Only 2 of them.
Only 2 of them will be there. The other 5 have already gone to Baton Rouge.
Oh, my God. See, again, that's more like us against the world,
exactly.
Right? You can take away our coaches. You try to take away everything that we've got, but we're here to represent. So, yeah, you got to love Ole Miss in this game.
Yeah, Pete Dowling has done a hell of a job, I think, sealing this thing together. And you used the correct term, us versus them.
Totally.
Yeah, so I got Ole Miss beating Miami. I think Ole Miss is just so dynamic offensively. Even on Miami's front, those 2 pass rushers, they're exceptional. I got the Rebs. Who you got?
Yeah, I got the Rebs, too. I'm with you.
Okay, let's go to the second game. This really is the national championship game.
Yeah, it is.
Even though it's going to be on a Friday night this weekend. Indiana, Oregon. What a matchup. The top 2 quarterbacks in the country who could be 1-2 in the draft if one of them comes out. Fernando Mendoza, IU's do-everything quarterback and 2 deep at running back, and just monstrously big offensive and defensive linemen that changed the course of the game. That's what Indiana's got. Oregon's got Dante Moore, and he is a dynamic. He's been a starter for a year and a half. He's playing much better than he's ever played before. They got some injury problems, though. They're really nicked up at running back and at wide receiver. Defensively, they're tough, but they can't be on the field for the whole football game. And that's what happened the first time. When you do remember midseason, Indiana going into Autzen Stadium in Eugene and battering them.
Hell yeah.
I mean, they totally took Dante Moore out of the game because Indiana's defensive front controlled Oregon's offensive line at the point of attack. I think this is going to be a fun game. Mendoza has really become a nationwide fan favorite. Unrecruited kid was supposed to go to Yale on an academic grant. Instead winds up at Cal, then winds up at Indiana, wins the Heisman, deeply religious kid, leader, checks off all the boxes of the type of player that a Cignetti star should be. He's good. Dante Moore is really dynamic. The game has to change. Dan Lanning's playbook has to include move the pocket, roll out Dante Moore, run quick, no huddle, up-tempo stuff, wear out Indiana's defense. Because I have no hope that Oregon could stand in the trenches and slug with these guys after what I saw Indiana do to Oregon back at Autzen Stadium in the middle of the season. So this becomes Fernando Mendoza versus Dante Moore, and this will be the creativeness, obviously, of what Dan Lanning wants to call X's and O's versus all the things that Cignetti has become in the last 2 years. I think it's going to be a really good game. What say you?
It's going to be hard for, I think, Oregon to lose twice. I mean, or in other words, to say for Indy to beat them 2 times in a row in the same season. So I'm thinking Oregon's probably going to have a better chance to win, but this Indiana story has just been a storybook season for all the personalities, but really for Indy football fan that's been suffering for decades, for centuries.
136 years.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what makes it so cool. So I don't know, my heart here is with Indy, but my brain says it's probably Oregon.
And the only word that comes to mind when I watch Indiana football right now and I see the avalanche of support of every IU fan anywhere in the globe, the only thing that comes to mind, the movie Hoosiers with Gene Hackman.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like this is the football version of what 1954 and the reality of the Hoosiers basketball program was.
Yeah, it's cool because we've seen all the adult Ohio State fans roaming around out there. It's cool to see Indiana feeling relevant, feeling good about their team.
So, you're a college football fan. Is it kickoff yet? Hey, jump on board. Fans Forum. Chat box is open for business. Who do you think's going to win? Ole Miss, Miami. Who's going to win? IU, Oregon. Wow. Doesn't get any better than this. And I tend to think whatever's going to happen next week is going to be anticlimactic to what's going to happen tonight and tomorrow night. Okay, that's the beginning. That's the kickoff story. In college football, jump on board. We're going from one college football topic, John, to the next one.
Yeah, some local recruiting. I like to see these signings.
Transfer portal is a weekend activity. It's utter chaos. It's just absolutely amazing. It's free agency in college football, and it's wild. Let's just talk just with a bullet point or two for you. San Diego State now has 25 players in the transfer portal. I have bemoaned the fact that they're just hemorrhaging players. I feel for Sean Lewis because the reason the second year under the Lewis run at the Aztecs was successful is he built some continuity. He lost so many players when he inherited the program, went 3-9, kept a lot of guys there, built it, had a 9-4 season, though it kind of fell apart at the end. Now he's lost everybody. He virtually lost the entire defense. He doesn't have a hell of a lot back. However, 25 gone. As of noon today, I have counted 11 that have come in through the transfer portal.
Hey.
The most marquee name is a new quarterback, and they need a quarterback. His name is Stone Saunders. He's a high school sensation from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, went to the University of Kentucky, redshirted this year. Kid is built like a fire block. He's 6'1", 210.
Hey, nice.
He looks more linebacker than he looks athletic quarterback, but the kid could throw the hell out of the ball. He's coming in. He's got 4 years left because he did not play this past year at Kentucky.
Nice.
All of Kentucky's quarterback jumped ship after they got rid of the coach, Mark Stoops. So the Aztecs, by virtue of past contacts, knew this kid, get this kid. He comes in to compete with Jaden Denegal and an incoming freshman from Bakersfield. That will be the quarterback entourage. They've restocked. They've signed 4 defensive backs in the last 2 days at San Diego State. All of them small college players, DBs from Portland State, Sacramento State, Ohio U, etc. They still have many more scholarships to use to give. They've gotten 2 transfer offensive tackles from Michigan State who did not play.
They're brothers, aren't they?
They got 3 years eligibility left. But that's raw, uncut players going to take time. It's almost like they're going back to day one of Sean Lewis's stay here. He's going to have to mold this whole thing and reteach everybody this new playbook, etc. But at least he's got a quarterback with really good credentials. This kid from Pennsylvania via University of Kentucky is a thrower, which they've not had in a while. So that's the Aztecs story. USC, ton of turnover. You know, they had 12 players, did not participate in their bowl game. Guys were jumping into the portal. Guys declared for the NFL. Now, I will say this, Lincoln Riley at SC is coming off the number 1 recruiting class in the country. But those are all freshmen coming in the front door. Mm-hmm. However, he's got, as of today, I know of 6 guys that he's gotten so far. One of them is a top receiver in the Atlantic Coast Conference, Terrell Anderson, 6'2", wide receiver, North Carolina State, 72 receptions. So he comes in the door, but they need him because of the fact both their wide receivers have gone to the NFL. Mikael Lemon and Jacoby Lane have both jumped ship already, left school, and they're going to the NFL. But Terrell Anderson, first one in the door, that's a pretty good football player. UCLA, new leadership. We knew this was going to happen. The key, Nico Ayama-Liava, the quarterback, has elected to stay, not leave after an up-and-down season. That's a positive for Bob Chesney. Bob Chesney has gone into the market and has started to haul in players from James Madison. He's got 3 offensive linemen coming in.
Good. Just
picked up a wide receiver. He picked up a really good cornerback, and I'm surprised that he stole this kid from Virginia Tech. His name is Dante Levitt, 5'11". He's one of the best DBs on the East Coast. And Chesnick is not done because obviously he's got scholarships and there's more JMU players out there and players from other places that he's going to get. So that's just a brief overview. Like what the Aztecs have been able to do, but their numbers are way down. Obviously, I have huge question marks about Lincoln Riley's leadership because the turnover, the failures, they've never been to the playoffs in 4 years of Lincoln Riley. And I'm excited for what UCLA's potential could be because I know this coach. I know people that work for this coach, and they just glow when they talk about him. So, John, you got a comment about just the bullet points there?
Yeah, I mean, I love seeing this movement, seeing our local teams kind of stock up with some premier players. But a quarterback's named Stone. I mean, that kind of goes pretty good. And especially the way you say he's built like a fire plug. It reminds me of like Diego Pavia, just kind of a bigger version, but built like a linebacker. Or the guy, what was the one that was the quarterback for BYU? He had like a crazy name like that as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Bear Brockmeyer.
Yeah, Bear. That was it. Yeah, so, but you say he has 4 years of eligibility left, which is great. But you got to believe that if he has a sensational season, let's assume he is a starting quarterback, and he has a great year, he'll probably transfer to the Big Ten like Danny O'Neal did.
But except though, there's a relationship that was already in place because he was recruited by Sean Lewis and other people when those guys were at Colorado. They were trying to get him to go there. So there is a relationship. And Matt Johnson, who's the offensive coordinator at State, he's from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and played at that same school where this quarterback went. So there's a little bit of different linkage there, but at least they're getting some players in because maybe I'm in a minority. If I'm wrong, tell me. I'm aghast at how many players have left this program when I know what this coach stands for here and how he sales pitched these kids and their importance.
Well, how many kids are, actually, if you're at SC, you lose players as well, but they usually don't go into the portal. But I would imagine that SC and UCLA, they got huge holes in their roster too.
Yeah, exactly. But we're talking specifically about San Diego State.
Yeah, I don't think
you
it's
got
unusual.
An opinion? Feel free. Fans Forum chat box is open. You tell me, is college football broken or is college football free agency exciting? I mean, I punch up all the sites that I check, and I see all these marquee quarterbacks going from school to school to school. I say, well, that's kind of cool in terms of free agency, but then I feel bad because they're leaving behind programs that are now broken with all these kids jumping ship.
Well, the Texas Tech just signed a quarterback, a $6 million NIL deal.
Kid from the University of Cincinnati.
Yeah, so there's just so much money on the table. It's that's what I'm saying is a lot of these guys, if they have a great year, it's always who's got the next paycheck for me.
College football is broken.
Yeah.
Okay, feel free. Jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. I told you we're talking a ton of football because that's what we do here. Are you ready for some real football come Saturday, come Sunday? By the way, it's Wild Card Weekend. Go ahead.
Yeah, Wild Card Weekend. We'll start with the Chargers and Patriots.
Okay, let's just talk. We're going to go AFC, then NFC. I'm going to give you a brief overview of each game. John's going to step up with his opinions from left field about each game. Chargers go to New England. That is Superman versus the violent Patriot defense. That's Justin Herbert. Over 4,200 all-purpose yards, 28 touchdowns despite 54 sacks and 129 hits. That's the defense of Jesse Minter, moving guys around the chessboard, creating chaos for all these star quarterbacks they played against at the end of the season. By the way, the Bolts defense, they're not getting a hell of a lot of recognition. They only gave up 285 yards a game this year, gave up only 35 touchdowns in 17 games, and have 45 quarterback sacks. However, Chargers have lost back-to-back games to finish the season, and there's still an aura out there. Those ghastly losses to Jacksonville, the Giants, Washington, and to Houston when Houston wasn't playing very well. So you got Superman on one side, and here comes New England. And they would not be happy at me if I was at a Patriots press conference, because I would ask the question, who have you played? Do you know they have 12 non-playoff teams on their schedule this year that they played and beat?
We went through it that one day.
Do you know the winning percentage of the Patriot opponents is .386, all-time worst in the National Football League? When they played good people, they got beat by Buffalo, they got beat by Pittsburgh. That being said, Drake May is everything to New England and Justin Herbert is to the Chargers. Almost 4,400 yards in offense throwing the football, 35 touchdowns on the season. Stephon Diggs, 85 pass catches this season. Hunter Henry, the ex-Charger first-round pick, 60 receptions at tight end. Offense has scored 58 touchdowns this year. New England is really good. And the game is in Foxborough. If this were in Los Angeles, I'd have a much different feel. Somebody's going to have to sales pitch me. It's not going to be one and done for the Chargers because I just don't think the Charger front, all that hodgepodge of people, 5 different left tackles, 4 different right tackles, 25 offensive line combinations, I just don't see how the Chargers are going to protect Superman. And Superman is going to have to wear his cape to hold up against everything New England's got. And I can't wait to see the Jesse Minter matchup against Drake May. So that's what I say as a longtime voice of the Chargers, and I pay attention to the NFL every minute of every day. What does John Riley say?
There's a lot of Charger fans that think that they'd rather go and play at New England than in Jacksonville or even in Pittsburgh. Is this a better draw because the Patriots aren't as good as they appear they are? But I don't buy it. I mean, this is one and done. They can't protect the quarterback, and they still have the impending doom of chargering hanging over their head. I don't see this working out.
Okay, you got a different opinion. Charger fans, NFL fans, express it. Fans Forum chat box is open. Second game, we got Buffalo, Jacksonville. Now, this is going to be the matchup of the weekend, I think, in the AFC. This is a Buffalo football team. And my statement is, who are the Bills? Which Bills team shows up? We know the quarterback. We know all things Josh Allen stands for. He's accounted for 39 touchdowns this season. We know James Cook, heavy-duty running back, now over 1,600 yards on the year. And we know the Bills' defense is rugged. Joey Bosa's back, 293 yards per game, etc. But this is a Buffalo team that lost at Atlanta, that lost at Miami, has losses of 1, 3, and 4 on the season, should have lost to Philadelphia, and their wide receivers are highly erratic, which means Josh Allen has to do an awful lot. So I just asked the question, who is Buffalo? And that's pertinent because you're going to Jacksonville. And Jacksonville is playing like it's never, ever played in modern-day football. Now, that being said, Jaguars have won 8 straight, John. 7 of the wins, though, have come against bottom feeders in the National Football League. With apologies to Jacksonville, you beat Arizona, you beat Tennessee twice, Indy twice, you beat the Jets. That's how you built this resume. Who have you played? So we'll talk about that. Trevor Lawrence, over 4,000 yards. The impact of Coach Liam Cohen on him has been pretty impressive. They're pounding the football. They're averaging like 360 yards per game. Defense is much more rugged than anybody realizes, giving up just 303. But they got all these wins, this great record, and they've won 8 in a row. Most of it's against bottom feeders. So who are the Bills? And you put any credence in Jacksonville's winning streak right now?
Jacksonville? No. How can you root against Josh Allen? I mean, he's another Superman character, so I'm all in on the Bills. It's like the new America's team, right? We don't count the Cowboys for that anymore. So if the Bills, you're right, they kind of don't seem like they're all there this year. They're kind of sputtered and things. But, I'll tell you what, if Jacksonville kind of got hot and went deep into the playoffs, that'd be kind of refreshing, to see that happen. But I'm all in. Give me Buffalo.
Okay, third AFC game. Red hot Houston versus hanging on for dear life Pittsburgh. I'll tell you, there's nothing fraudulent about the Texans. They were awful to start the year because they had all kinds of injury problems in the offensive front. Now they got healthy. They've won 9 in a row jumping into postseason play. And included in those 9 wins were wins against the Jaguars, against Buffalo, against Indy when Indy was healthy, and against the Chargers. And their losses, 4 of their losses, are by a touchdown or less. This is a really good football team. It's not a sexy team. It's more sluggo than a style on offense. Houston's really, really good. They're on fire. Defense, 47 sacks, 29 takeaways, giving up just 277 yards per game. Pittsburgh, part of me says mediocrity. Part of me, you've heard the word pedestrian. But, Sunday to Sunday, they just kind of compete. And Aaron Rodgers progressively has gotten better and better, has not turned the football over. Aaron Rodgers now gets DK Metcalf back. Aaron Rodgers has thrown for 3,300 yards this season. Aaron Rodgers has got like 27 touchdowns, got a 94 quarterback rating. But I don't like their offense. And their defense, yes, a lot of sacks. But the defense has allowed 42 touchdowns this season. And, of course, this is the T.J. Watt health issue. I don't think Pittsburgh's a complete team. I think Pittsburgh's season ends this weekend at home, and those fans are really going to be upset. But Houston's hot. Houston's dangerous. Houston's not typical superstar team, but superstar defense. John?
Was Metcalf going to punch anyone in the stands? Get suspended again?
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. I mean, it was kind of neat in that Sunday night game seeing Aaron Rodgers out there, and I enjoyed watching him again because, but and I'm still kind of shocked about how we were just talking about Mike Tomlin was going to be run out of Pittsburgh, and now suddenly they're back in the playoffs. But they just seem like such a mid-team the whole time. So Texans, that defense is just ferocious. How can you go against them?
Exactly. Okay, that's all things AFC. You're a football fan. Jump on board. Give us an opinion. We won't know what you think until you join us in the Fans Forum chat box. John, let's go from the AFC page to all things NFC.
NFC, with the Rams getting started.
Rams, going back to the scene of the crime. The Rams are really rolling. And then they went to Carolina, played in the rain, turned the ball over a bunch of times and lost. How does that Rams team, so explosive, so dangerous, play so poorly at Carolina, and then they wound up losing 3 in a row on the road? Their luggage tag has 3 losses in a row stapled to it. Now they go back into Carolina. That being said, there is firepower everywhere. And they got Matthew Stafford, 4,700 yards passing, 46 touchdowns. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams will play. Between them, 189 receptions. Both those guys are averaging 13 yards per catch. They got nearly 1,900 yards on the ground with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. And then there's that defense. It's got 47 sacks, 26 takeaways. This is a complete team. But They've lost 3 in a row on the road. Explanation, please. They're going to have to show that they've emotionally recovered from what happened to them in Seattle a couple of weeks ago when they got beat on the final second and plunged from number 1 seed all the way towards the bottom. Carolina, 8-9. Really? You're a playoff team at 8-9? But they are. Bryce Young, he's been up and down. Young quarterback. I don't think dynamic. He's had some good games, has crummy games. How can you have a season where Bryce Young throws for 333 one week and throws for 57 yards the next? That's what Carolina is all about. They will run the football with Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. They've got a great young rookie wide receiver, Tato McMillan, who came from Arizona, has got 70 receptions on the season. But against good teams on the schedule, they're 2-5.
Yeah.
So 8-9 in the playoffs, really? So I'm picking the Rams. I'm picking it to be a blowout. I'm putting aside the bad stickers on the Rams suitcase, the 3 bad road losses in a row. What do you think?
Yeah, luggage tags. You know, I mean, how can you go against the Rams in this game? I mean, they've got revenge on their minds, too. They've been scheming. They know how to kind of figure this out. This isn't even going to be close.
Okay, second game. This is going to be the game of the day. San Francisco, Philadelphia. I don't want you to be angry at me. The words I'm going to use as it relates to your 49ers. San Francisco, are you spent? San Francisco, have you shot your bullet? San Francisco, do you have any gas left in the tank? Kyle Shanahan's done a hell of a job. Yes, Frisco has won 6 of its last 7. It's been a grind. The accomplishments of the 2 quarterbacks, Van Jones and Brock Purdy, between them, 4,300 yards passing, 33 touchdowns, amazing. The accomplishments of Christian McCaffrey, 2,126 all-purpose yards, 17 touchdowns, and the guy has 413 touches this season. McCaffrey's just been a stud. But the defense, no Bosa, no Werner. Now they're down 4 linebackers. Defense is giving up 340. They have grinded to get here. I just don't know that there's any gas left in the San Francisco tank. And as for Philadelphia, if there's a word I'm looking to describe them, it's strange. What a weird season. And Dino going to the playoffs, they've lost 4 of their last 7. This is not vintage Super Bowl Eagle football. Jalen Hurts has run hot, run cold. Offensive line's been beat up. Yes, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, between them over 200 catches, and both have 1,000-yard seasons. And Saquon Barkley has 1,140 yards rushing, but it's not been like it was last season. Defense, though, since the trade deadline, rocking. 42 sacks, 21 takeaways on the season. Now, in defense of Philadelphia's strange season, they have beaten Kansas City when Kansas City was healthy. They beat the Rams. They beat Tampa when Tampa was cooking. They beat Green Bay when they were healthy. They beat the Lions. Philadelphia has got a lot of components to say, yeah, that's a Super Bowl team, but they haven't played on a consistent basis like that. So, John, has Frisco got any gas left in the tank? And how strange is the Eagles season to you?
Yeah, the Eagles aren't like this uber-dominant team like we saw them last year. But, I mean, the game's in Philly. And remember, was it a year or 2 ago was the game when Brock Purdy got hurt? And then I don't know who the backup was. They had to go to Josh Johnson or some other third stringer. McCaffrey was quarterbacking for a while. So, yeah, the Eagles are going to be tough to beat. And by the way, did you see there was a video clip going around about McCaffrey, and he was at this track and field training facility.
Workout freak.
And I had never seen some of those sprint drills and the way they kind of skip and move their body.
I mean, he's an absolutely amazing workout guy, which allows him to have this durability. I mean, just think of 413 touches this season.
Yeah, incredible.
At the pounding he takes, and he's still playing without any major injury, at least this year.
But I'm just going to be clear. I'm taking the Niners. I can't go against my home team.
Well, you have every right to do this with opinions from left field and do this podcast with your heart. I would expect that.
Okay.
My best friend, Bill Werndell, based in Philadelphia, my longtime talk show host teammates say you're full of crap, but that's okay.
Werndell.
Third game, Da Bears, Green Bay. This could have been really good, but it's not good right now. Bears are 11-6, although they stumbled at the end of the season. They're going to get this thing ramped up. It's not good for Green Bay. They finished with a 4-game losing streak, and what was a really dynamic offensive team is hurt. They got so many people around Jordan Love banged up, including Love, who'd been out 2 weeks with a concussion. The quarterback's been hurt. Their wide receivers are hurt. They don't have Micah Parsons. They lost their top tight end. And against playoff teams, they're just 2-2 on the season. Chicago, their offense has to pile up a lot of yards because their defense gives up a lot of yards. That's a strange statistic there. The Bears are averaging 369 on offense. The Bears are giving up 366 on defense. Great season. Caleb Williams, 4,300 all-purpose yards, 30 touchdowns, throws to 6 receivers, throws to 3 different tight ends. It's a really good football team. I think Green Bay, unfortunately, has hit a wall because they don't have everybody they had the first half of the season when they were really electric. And your opinion from left field is?
It's pretty cool how like a classic rivalry shows up there in the first round of the playoffs. And I'm really thrilled about Caleb Williams and the season he's having. But just to be clear, Jordan Love, is he going to play? Or?
He's going to play, but he doesn't have all the components around him they had the first half of the season. He lost Tyler Kraft, their great tight end, midseason, and that started a cavalcade of injuries to all the other wide receivers.
But Love is still dealing with that concussion, isn't he?
Well, he's out of protocol now. He's been practicing, so he goes.
Okay.
Got to protect him, though.
All right.
But he doesn't have enough bullets in the gun.
Yeah, I'm all Bears on this one.
Yeah. The Bears. Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams has really become, he looks like such a different football player his second year in the league rather than some freelance quarterback panic-stricken running for his life.
Yeah, that was last year.
Kind of like Shedeur Sanders looks this year in Cleveland.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. Okay, that's all things NFC. You're a football fan, want you to join us. Fans Forum chat box is open for business. Wild Card weekend, it's going to be cool. We're not done with all things NFL. Here we go. We told you Black Monday equals pink slips. Wow.
Wow. I mean, you got here the stack ranking of the top jobs in the NFL.
Yeah, let's just talk about the firings around the National Football League. And obviously, a day ago, John Harbaugh got blown out. Then this morning, Mike McDaniel got blown out in Miami. There are 8 NFL jobs open right now. Now, I decided to do a little bit differently. We're going to rank the jobs in terms of what I think are the best jobs available. And we will start with the Baltimore Ravens. Of course it's the best job available. When you're sitting there and you've got Lamar Jackson and you've got Derrick Henry and you got young wide receivers and you got quality tight ends and you got a loaded defense, this was not a roster decision-driven deal to make a coaching change. It was beyond that. It's deeper than that. We're going to talk about Harbaugh's specific situation in a bit. But I think Baltimore is the top job. And the hottest candidate, guy that used to work there, guy that knew the Harbaughs for a long time, Jesse Minter, Chargers defensive coordinator. Makes sense to me. Second best job. As wretched as New York football has been, the loss of Saquon Barkley, the erosion of Daniel Jones, the failure with the draft picks, the wretched defense, I think the Giants are the second best NFL opening. Got the quarterback of the future in place already. The running back of the future will come back off surgery. You're too deep at wide receiver. Got a ton of defensive people led by Abdul Carter. I think that's a job that's going to – new coach hits the floor running, new coach with experience, new coach with leadership. Kevin Stefanski, fired Browns coach. Smart dude, X's and O's, steps in with all that offense, hire the right staff to fix the defense that underachieved. Giants, I think, are the second best. Third one, you may think this is weird. I got huge questions about freaking ownership there. I got huge questions about the makeup of the roster. But they have the quarterback, Cam Ward. They have 8 draft picks. They have over $100 million in cap space. And they got Jeffrey Simmons and a really bad guy defense. What they need is leadership. And I would think, in all honesty, Matt Nagy, Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator, former head coach Bears, real bright X's and O's guys. Matt Nagy might be the right guy for that job there. So keep an eye on Tennessee. I think it's the third best job because they got all these things in place. This will sound really stupid. You can call me stupid if you want, but wait till you hear my rationale, then tell me I'm stupid. I got the Raiders as the fourth best job in the league, despite the Mark Davis factor. And do you know I updated the out-of-town scoreboard? Since 2002, with Mark Davis running the Raiders, their composite record is 131 wins, 242 losses.
Wow. Over 100, under 500.
Damn right. Anyhow, Raiders have 11 draft picks. Raiders have $116 million in cap space. They got a stud running back. They got two really good tight ends. They got a quality left tackle. They got Mad Max Crosby. Now, they need a lot of help. They really need somebody that's going to lead them. Raiders, they're interviewing people with offensive backgrounds right now. I also hear they're interviewing defensive people. If I were the Raiders, I'd make a run at Charger defensive coordinator Jesse Minter, and I would make a run to get Brian Daboll, smart guy coordinator, crappy head coach, ex-New York Giant head coach, bring him in, and those guys fix the defense, solve the quarterback situation, rebuild the offense. So one hire is going to impact the second hire, and I think those are two huge hires, who the head coach is going to be and who's going to be the offensive mind. So I like Minter, obviously, as a head coaching candidate, and maybe Brian Daboll is the right guy to come in. Failed as a head coach does not mean he's going to fail, because he was the architect of Josh Allen's development up in Buffalo. So keep an eye on all things Raiders. The fifth best job, actually, it should probably be the second tier.
Okay.
Arizona. So they get rid of John Gannon. Should they have gotten rid of Kyler Murray? No, they can't. The salary cap implications, if they were to remove Kyler Murray, would be devastating to the team. Should they get rid of the owner, Michael Bidwell? Damn right. That being said, it's a tough situation. Do they have the right quarterback? There's no doubt they got maybe a Hall of Fame wide receiver in Trey McBride out of Colorado State, Marvin Harrison, a wide receiver. They've got skill guys. Do they have the right quarterback? Maybe they need the right coach to work with the right quarterback. That being said, they're really intrigued by Robert Saleh, 49ers defensive coordinator. He's first guy that's going to interview for that job. They can't fix the quarterback situation on the roster because they can't cut Kyler Murray. They can't trade Kyler Murray. But they obviously got to fix the defense. That'll be interesting to see. Atlanta, to me, it's a mystery team. You look at the makeup of the roster and the chunks of time where they played well. Bijan Robinson, that's great dual-purpose running back. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, star wide receiver. Lots of pass rush guys. I don't know what to make of Michael Penix. And, of course, they got the contract situation with Kirk Cousins. I think they need to hire somebody offensive mind. Hot name, Mike McCarthy. Second hot name, although he just got fired this morning, Mike McDaniel, Miami. X's and O's guy, but weird dude. And so it's going to be very interesting to see which direction Atlanta goes, but I think it's got to be somebody to solve the quarterback situation. Mike McCarthy wants to coach again. Cleveland, elite defense, incompetent offense. Just an awful situation. The Deshaun Watson factor just won't go away. No quarterback, no offensive line, no cap space, owner with a history of interference. Yeah, that's checking off all the damn boxes that could kill a franchise. Interesting name. I mean, they got rid of Stefanski. I like Jim Schwartz. He was the defensive coordinator. This guy's been a bunch of different places. Was a head coach for one time in Detroit, did well, and then it didn't work out. Maybe they elevate Jim Schwartz, let him fix it, go hire an offensive coordinator to work with whomever the quarterback's going to be, Shedeur Sanders going forward or somebody else. And the last one is the job that just opened today. However, let me put an exclamation point next to the Miami Dolphins. You got rid of Mike McDaniels. The question is, how do you solve the Tua quarterback problem? Because there's a huge cap implications there. And how do you solve the Tyreek Hill off the field mess. McDaniel had a good start as head coach. Since that point in time, 35-33, franchise going in the wrong direction. Try this idea on for size. That Miami hires the assistant general manager of the Chargers, Chad Alexander. Where'd he come from? Nobody knows him very well. I know him. Baltimore. You hire him with his Baltimore ties, and he hires John Harbaugh with his Baltimore ties. And you're off to the races fixing that whole thing. Miami's ownership's been a fiasco for a group of years there. So, John, that's an awful lot of data. I did a lot of research. I networked with a whole pile of people. But that's how I rank the top jobs. You should have taken notes because your memory bank is not this deep to be able to do this. But go ahead from left field with your opinions.
I get confused with all the McDaniels and McCarthys and who's the coach for the Seahawks? McDonald, and so it's just, and then there's Jaden Daniels, but he's not a McDaniels, and so I don't know. It gets confusing, but I'm mostly interested in the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders need to come back and be the dominant team in the AFC and bring back the aura, the mystique. But I'm looking at these guys. I mean, you got to believe that John Harbaugh, people should be like throwing money at him.
Well, they will.
So they'll send like private airplanes to go pick him up and fly him into the office. And he's going to probably get scooped up like in a matter of a week or two, don't you think?
The question is, do I want to go there? 131-242 under Mark Davis. Do I want to go there?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know if he really wants to go. I mean, he's going to have his pick or whatever gig.
Well, that's why I think this Miami story that just broke this morning makes a lot of connect-the-dot sense.
Yeah, and the Giants angle that you brought up, too, makes sense. Now, here's a crazy idea. And I remember people were talking about this a little bit. Like, do you ever think Shedeur Sanders, I mean, as the quarterback of the Browns, do you think his father would ever come in and coach Prime in the
qualified?
NFL? Yeah, good question. I mean,
has he flipped it and won anything at Boulder?
Not yet.
Why would you even bring that topic up?
It's just kind of fun to think about, So anyways, we'll see how these guys sort out. I mean, Nagy, we know a lot of things about him. What about Spagnuolo? I mean, do you think he's going to get another shot?
He's interviewing in Arizona, I know, but his track record, he was head coach Rams, it was disastrous. His track record is Kansas City as a defensive coordinator. There's so many good names that are now available because so many named coaches, veteran guys, left or were put out in the street or been out a year and went back in. I mean, there's a lot of veteran coaches who won other places.
Interesting. I like the way you stack rank them. That's a good idea. Interesting way to present it.
Okay. Hey, you got an opinion? There's an awful lot of data there. Pick one of those teams you want to talk about. Fans Forum chat box is open. Jump on board. We're not done with NFL. One more topic on the table. Why did this happen?
Yeah, we're talking a little bit about Harbaugh here. So how and why did this happen?
Let's just talk about the John Harbaugh situation. I was told, and I believe it from the people in Baltimore that I bounced stuff off of, John Harbaugh was told you need to make changes to your coaching staff, and John Harbaugh said no. Flat out refused to have a conversation. That's item one. Secondly, the structure of the way they were doing business in Baltimore, and I did not know this till yesterday, Harbaugh answered to the owner, Steve Biscotti, only. The general manager answered to Steve Biscotti only. And there was not a lot of linkage between the coach and the GM. And Eric DaCosta, the GM, was of the opinion you need to make staff changes. That was the message he gave the owner. The owner gave the message to Harbaugh. Harbaugh said no. I was told that there's a lot of communication problems between the offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, and Lamar Jackson. Jackson, a lot of injuries, a lot of missed practice time. Really impacted the team in the middle of the season because they weren't being able to practice during the week without the star quarterback, and then he was playing at 50% capacity because he couldn't run the football and scramble, and the whole offense fell apart. So that, to me, this whole thing about the staff and then the disconnect between Monken and Lamar Jackson was the big story, missed practices. And there's insinuation in Baltimore that when the communication broke down between the coordinator and the quarterback, and those guys lived together all year in the meeting rooms, in practice, film sessions, when that happened, Lamar Jackson emotionally checked out. And that checked out, the team went into the tank. And on top of that, the defensive side of the football, they had 10 double-digit leads this year they blew. Their defenses were just a fiasco. So at the end of the day, because Harbaugh refused to address coaching changes, communication problems, X's and O problems, that's why Biscotti decided to hit the eject button and let him go. 18 years of brilliance. I mean, you win a Super Bowl, all these AFC North titles, you go to the playoffs 12 times in 18 years. I mean, that's a pretty good set of credentials on your resume. But what have you done recently? And recently, they have not done really well. This last group of years under Lamar Jackson, their won-loss record's been great. Their postseason record's been abysmal. In the middle of that, they were 40-40 before Lamar Jackson got there. And early on, they won a lot really early. And it's no longer what it was that first group of years. The second year was 500. The third year was here, but postseason failure. So that's the summary of the storyline. You asked the question, what happened in Baltimore? I've given you every conceivable angle that I've been able to dig up. And you have to say...
18 years, man. I mean, that's a long time.
Hell yes.
I mean, for any coach. And I had breakfast today with Tim Todd, one of your former buddies, and we were talking about this. Who, assuming Harbaugh was still coaching, who's been in the league longer, him or Tomlin?
I think Tomlin's been there maybe 1 year longer. Both have had great success, but Harbaugh's had more success because of having been to the Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl, and been in the AFC Championship game a pile of times. Tomlin has a great one-loss record, but there's been no playoff success in a long time in Pittsburgh.
Interesting.
So,
yeah, I mean, this was just odd. This one kind of came out of nowhere, when this happened. But what other organization structures their organizational chart with the GM and the head coach not reporting one to the other?
Yeah, I concur. There are some that have it structured like that, but not a lot in modern-day football. Steve Biscotti's got a great reputation as an individual, as an owner, in terms of being successful and making it a great atmosphere and climate to want to go play in Baltimore. And maybe just the end of the day, you need a different message, a different messenger. 18 years is a long run.
Did he lose the locker room? I mean, that was the accusation.
They deny that. I think he lost trust in the general manager because he was so steadfast that this is my staff and I'm not going to make changes. I'm sitting here having experienced that. I went through this with the San Diego Chargers as the voice of the Chargers. Mm-hmm. That's a reason of the Bobby Beathard-Bobby Ross divorce is Beathard wanted changes in that staff within a year and a half of them being in the Super Bowl, and Bobby Ross said, these are my guys, no. And there were a lot of other reasons why the Chargers fell apart post-Super Bowl, but that was the catalyst, and the owner, Spanos, sided with Beathard, and you could make the change, and then they fired Ross, and then we all know the bad history until they hired Marty Schottenheimer.
What a history for the Chargers, the ups and downs.
But it's not the only place. I mean, it's happened around the league. These are my guys. You hired me to be the coach. Let me coach my guys. But if it doesn't go well and they ask for changes, some of these coaches get their back up against it and say no.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird, like, if your boss tells you to fire some of the guys underneath you. I mean, in any sort of corporate environment, it's just odd. But in this case, it's almost like the GM thinks he's smarter than Harbaugh.
Well, you got to work together. You got to find a common ground. But again, these are my guys. It's a real tough set of circumstances.
Yeah, I got you.
So that's where we are. That's all things NFL football. Hey, you're invited to join us. Fans Forum chat box is open. We are at halftime. Our Thursday podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. They've been in business more than 100 years. Does not matter what the project is. But today I want to direct this message to the do-it-yourselfers. Guys that like to fix things in the house, build things in the house, go out in the garage, down on the basement. Because when you do that, that means you want your own tool shop. John Riley, talk about DIXIELINE tools, and what they have at each of their stores and headquarters.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the tool selection here is fabulous. You know what's kind of cool is Dixieline does these tool blitzes where they'll invite DeWalt or Milwaukee or Ryobi or any of the other big-time manufacturers. They come out with the truck with all of the cordless newest innovations in saws and drills and everything, and they do live demonstrations, and then they provide special deals. So if you go to the Dixieline website, dixieline.com, and go to the events page, there you'll see those tool blitzes, and they're frequently in a lot of the print advertising. It's in the special offers section of their website as well.
DIXIELINE.com, the place to go. We are at halftime. Before we motor into the second half of this podcast, just a couple of reminders. When we're done putting topics on the table, we invite you to join us. It's called Fans Forum, something really different where you get the chance to co-host with us. John, just detail how they join us right at the end of the podcast in Fans Forum.
Yeah, a bunch of guys are piling in, making their picks for college football playoffs, making their picks for the wild card weekend. So I love seeing that. So, hey, if you got a comment or question for Hacksaw in the world of sports, drop your hot take in the live chat on YouTube, on X, on Facebook. We'll get you in Fans Forum.
Fans Forum coming up right at the end of the show. Don't forget, I write sports every day. It's on my website. It's there first thing every morning. Go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com. You get the best 15 minutes in sports. You get my one man's opinion column. It's absolutely free. In addition, John and I put out 2 newsletters a day that'll be in your email box. You can just register on my homepage. There's an orange box. Fill it out. Become part of Hacksaw's Insiders Group. You'll get 2 emails per day. We think you'll enjoy that. Want you to share, subscribe to this podcast because we also put additional videos and opinion pieces up on the YouTube channel, and you'll get the alerts, ding, 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 when you share and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Join me on social media at Hacksaw1090. Hit the follow button. You'll be able to participate in Hacksaw's mini polls, and I post a lot of different opinion pieces there also. So that's what we're all about. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the follow button. Give us a 5-star rating. Hey, we do this. We do it. We give it to you absolutely free. The only thing we ask, demand, you owe it to us. Hey, hit the follow button and tell people about what we are doing. Give us a thumbs up. It helps us a great deal.
Look at you, man. You're like a social media influencer.
Well, you're the one that created this mess.
You're like Paris Hilton of sports.
No, I don't go that far. Okay, let's move to the second half because we are baseball-centric, and there are late-breaking stories. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, we are. And, the Cubs and the Nationals in the news.
Let's talk about trades. We're into this back-end wave of free agency. We're waiting for the next group of dominoes to fall with what few free agents are left out there. The Bregmans of the world, those guys, we're waiting to see who's the next one to sign. But the Cubs made a big move over this weekend, trading for Edward Cabrera, outstanding frontline starting pitcher, Miami Marlins. He really scratched the surface, and then last year had a breakout year. Guy has got a 3.30 career ERA and was really dominant last season. The Cubs traded Owen Cassey, a young outfielder, hit the hell out of the ball in AAA, but there's no place for him in the Cubs outfield. Traded Cassey and 2 lower minor league outfielders to get Edward Cabrera. He's a really good pitcher. He goes to the front of the Chicago Cubs rotation. The other one is the rumor mill story out of Washington. I don't know if this is going to happen, but the Nationals just signed Mackenzie Gore this afternoon to his arbitration contract. So now there's a fixed dollar amount to his deal, and they are shopping him. And the rumor out of Washington is that Nationals are talking extensively and maybe solely now to the New York Mets. The price would be tremendously steep. I was told the Nats want the top young pitcher, Jonah Tong. They want the starting third baseman, Mark Vientos. And they want 2 of the top New York Met prospects, Ron Mauricio and Luis Angel Acuna. One's a third baseman, one's a second baseman. That's a hell of a haul, but that's Mackenzie Gore. And you put Mackenzie Gore on a really good team with bats around him, you might have yourself one of the top pitchers in the National League. So that's where we are. The Cubs made a big deal Washington made its deal. We're waiting to see if the Padres are going to have any money left in the checking account to do anything, but virtually all the marquee names now are off the board, and I don't know, there's a hell of a lot of trading partners available out there. But we do talk a lot of baseball. It's been quiet for the last calendar week. That's where we are. John, go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting when you rattled off all those names for Mackenzie Gore. You could think those could have been potential Padres, because it was in that Juan Soto deal. But it's weird, like Mets, Nationals, inter-division. Usually you don't want to trade in your same division.
Well, at the end of the day, Washington's just trying to stack hot young talent. And they obviously, ownership has no intention of signing Mackenzie Gore when he becomes a walk free agent. So if you trade a frontline guy to somebody else in the National League, no big deal. And he's not in the division. He'd be going to the Cubs, which is a different division from where Washington is. But at the end of the day, I'm sorry, the Mets. I've got too many teams, too many names. But at the end of the day, if you're getting 4 of the top Mets prospects, this Tong kid, I was told, is really good.
They were talking about him with the Padres for a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As a byproduct of a trade there. If Pivetta was going in that direction, but that did not happen. So
interesting.
That's where we are. We're waiting for, like I say, the talks have now reopened. For there's 4 free agents left out there. We're going to wait and see. I would think by Monday we're going to have more baseball-centric topics to talk about. So we got that, and then we got the other story in baseball that just leaked out. This is really bad.
Missed TV rights fee payments.
You know about the collapse of the regional sports network. Diamond Sports, Bally Sports, what happened to the Padres a couple of years ago. Padres turned their TV rights over to Major League Baseball. Baseball then acquired the rights to 6 other smaller market teams who lost their regional contracts. This thing has gotten worse. FanDuel, which is now the current operator of what used to be Diamond Sports, used to be Ballet Sports, etc., FanDuel missed its rights-free payments at Christmas time to 9 different baseball teams. At this point, they have not closed down operation. They were trying to find more backers financially, have not found it. The Cardinals are one of the ones, and that's a great regional franchise with a great history on TV. The Cardinals are the ones that yesterday indicated they may just opt out completely, turn their rights over to Rob Manfred, who's trying to start this true streaming network for everybody. But the ones that missed their rights-free payment at Christmas: Cardinals, Angels, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Detroit, Kansas City, Milwaukee, Tampa, and Miami. If those 9 all go to Major League Baseball before the start of the season, that's going to be Major League Baseball. It's going to give them, I think, 16 teams, and it'll give them half of Major League Baseball inventory. And, of course, Rob Manfred's whole idea is to get everybody to come together under one umbrella by the end of the collective bargaining agreement and the current TV contract in 2028, so he can reinvent TV with one master plan for everybody. So that's where we are. This regional thing just keeps getting worse and worse. And what's the example? The Padres TV rights were worth $60 million under Bally, and that was grossly overpaid. That's why Bally got in trouble. So they let the Padres go. They failed to make the payments. They terminated the contract. The Padres wound up having to take $40 million from baseball. So the Padres are underwater from what they used to get. Everybody who's now working under the MLB umbrella is not getting what they used to get under Bally. But you could say, well, Bally overpaid for everybody, and that's why they wound up into bankruptcy. But that's where we are right now. And with this new 3-year deal that Manfred just signed, all the games are going under the umbrella of ESPN. And now that could involve the Cardinals and at least all 9 of the teams that were led there. So that's where we are with the Major League Baseball situation. Everybody is getting dinged. And in the mid-sized markets, in the San Diego market or the Pittsburgh market or the Arizona market, when you lose half your TV revenue because of the regional sports show, that's a big dent in your budget.
Huge. So, but we saw this train coming, right? Yes. I mean, it's been that way. I like Manfred's idea to consolidate, get some scalability there, give national advertisers a way to advertise in every game and, across the nation. I mean, I think that makes sense if you kind of consolidate that. So it's all good.
Except, how do you convince the Yankees and the Mets and the Red Sox and the Dodgers, who have mega contracts on their own, to give up their network deal to join the team?
Well, that's a whole other argument. But even if, you let those 4 guys do their own thing, they could be like the Notre Dames of the world. And then the remaining 28 could all join together. I can see some leverage there. And that's terrific. But, yeah, I mean, the whole thing, I mean, the reason I like the MLB idea, it's not just simply a cable channel. They want to go full streaming, multi-device, mobile. And they want to be everywhere, and that's the right way to do it.
Okay, you're a baseball fan. This TV thing, I don't know if you pay much attention to it, you're worried about it, etc. Your reaction. The Padres were the first ones, the courage of then-owner Peter Seidler to say, we're going to give it to Major League Baseball, and we're going to be the first one to plant our flag and let them do it. It's worked out. The broadcast package that the Padres have had has been solid, and it's been really affordable. They got to convince everybody else to put their games under that umbrella by the end of 2028.
Hey, did you see that Bob Scanlon was a guest on the Coaches podcast?
Is that right?
Yeah. And it was pretty cool. I listened to for a bit of it, and he's encouraged, for the new season. But I'll tell you this: the broadcast for the Padres, I just wish they had the pregame and postgame like they used to with Bally's.
That's a manpower investment thing. How many people are you going to employ?
I hear you.
So that's where we are. Baseball fans, feel free, jump on board. We go from that. Shooting some three-point shots here. We're talking little hoops.
Yeah, I know the Atlanta Hawks made a big deal on Trae Young.
Yeah, we got one big deal. There's another deal coming, and there's a lot of reaction to what's just happened in basketball over the weekend. Please explain to me how you give up a guy averaging 25 points per game, and you don't get number 1 picks in the lottery for this guy. Trae Young was traded. Trae Young was dumped. Trae Young, they gave up on his attitude. Trae Young was moved. This guy was averaging 25 points per game. Trae Young moved to the Washington Wizards, really a low-border basketball team. But they didn't get any Washington number 1 picks, and the number 1 picks are like freaking gold because it's such a bad team to be in the lottery. How could you do that? They got a veteran guard, good guy, C.J. McCollum. Got a three-point shooter in Corey Kispert. That's all they got. Now they get out from under the $49 million option that was left in his contract. I'd much rather have lottery picks than anything else. I don't understand Atlanta's method of business, except they just wanted to get the guy the hell out of there. The days come, the weeks come, and the philosophies change. Dallas Mavericks just dropped hints. They're taking Anthony Davis off the trade block. What they want to do is get to the second half of the season and see how Anthony Davis plays with Kyrie Irving, who will be coming off that knee surgery, and with Cooper Flagg, who's had a fabulous rookie season doing it by himself. So that's why they've decided to hold off on trading him. They had extensive talks a week ago with Toronto, and then Milwaukee got into the conversation. But at this point, Dallas wants to see what AD is going to be like with the other guys. This third one, boy, this is ending up bad in divorce. Golden State's had a really substandard first half of the season. It looks as if their era is officially over because of age. I thought they had a really good player in Jonathan Kuminga, and they're going to trade him. Effective January 15th, his window opens. He will be traded maybe as early as January 15th. We think maybe to Sacramento. They don't care if they're going to move him in the division. They want him just off the roster. There's been such a terrible personality clash between Steve Kerr, the head coach, and Kuminga. And he may be going in a trade for a high number 1 pick and one of the veteran guards that Sacramento's got. Problem is, this, I look at this kid now and I see this South African kid who I thought had great upside who just kind of stalled. And the way he's acted and the problems with Kerr, it's almost like he's damaged goods. Like, can you correct the attitude, much less the learning curve, to be an NBA player? So this is kind of a lousy story at Golden State because I thought this was going to be the next player who would step up and really help Steph Curry and Draymond Green at the end of their careers, and it hasn't worked out that way. So go ahead, John. Don't shoot an air ball, please.
Well, we've been talking about this Kuminga soap opera for weeks, if not months. So this is good. It's probably coming to a close, but I remember, I don't know, it was maybe 4 years ago or so that the Atlanta Hawks and Trae Young made the Eastern Conference Finals. And it was like, oh my God, I don't remember the Hawks ever going this deep unless you go way back to the Dominique Wilkins era. I mean, that's clearly one of the most, behind the scene, almost like forgotten teams of the NBA, of the Atlanta Hawks.
Well, they had drafted so well recently. They got the kid out of France, Rissache. He's played really well his second year. And they had this stockpile, Jalen Johnson and other guys there around him. And I thought, these guys are going to bounce back. And all of a sudden, Trae Young just kind of goes off ship on them. And obviously, they wanted him out of there. Period, exclamation point, end of conversation. But you trade a star and you don't get a lottery pick. I mean, sometimes when these mega deals occur, teams are getting 2 and 3 first-round picks. They got no picks at all from Washington. Why would you do that?
Yeah, like you said, I think you just want to get them out of town and start over.
NBA fans forum chat box is open. Final set of topics on the table. I know there's an awful lot of information here today. You asked me to do a podcast, so what did you think you were going to get? Go ahead, John.
Covering the world of sports. All right, NHL and the hockey. The Olympics.
How many flights can you get from here to Milan, Italy? Flights are going to be full. International Olympic Committee, the International Ice Hockey Federation, NHL officials are all flying into Milan, Italy this week. They want to know why the Olympic hockey arena is still not done. It's not a problem, the Italian IOC says, but it is a problem. The ice surface is ready. The boards are up. The practice rinks adjacent are operable. They don't have all the seats in the building. They don't have all the windows in the building. The Olympics start February 11th. You had 3 years to do this, and it's still not done. And then it was projected to have 11,800 seats. They're not going to have 11,800 seats. I saw a video today. The arena looks half done. And if they've had 3 years to get this thing done, what a disaster. Now, they can make ice, and they can play the game, but it's going to be kind of a weird venue. So the NHL and the IIHF, the International Federation, meeting with the IOC people to try to sort this out. Second topic, Anaheim Ducks. They were so good for the first third of the season, and they are not playing well now. They have lost 7 in a row. They've won only 2 of their last 12. A bunch of guys aren't scoring goals, and suddenly their goaltenders can't stop shots. And they got a real problem there. They just called up the leading scorer of the San Diego Gulls, Tim Walsh from Western Michigan. Kid had 13 goals this season and half a season in the American League. He is up with Anaheim, about to make his full debut. Winnipeg, wow. Top team, Western Conference last year, last place this year. The Jets, they've stopped scoring. It's more than just Connor Hellebuck was out for a chunk of time with an injury. They're winless in their last 10. They don't have anybody outside of their number one line to score goals. They got 15 wins in 41 games, and this was the elite team in the Western Conference last season. Blackhawks, boy, there's been a tough weekend for the Chicago Blackhawks. First, longtime coach and general manager, really good gentleman, Bob Pulford, passes away. He was 89 years of age. He won 4 Stanley Cup rings with the Toronto Maple Leafs, finished up his career with the LA Kings, got into coaching, wound up going to the Blackhawks as a longtime coach. Then he became a longtime general manager. Really good hockey man. He passes away at the age of 89. And then this morning, Glenn Hall, legendary goaltender, passes away at the age of 94. This guy played in the era. Actually, his career started in 1952 and it lasted to 1971.
Wow.
Blackhawks goalie, St. Louis Blues goalie when they became an expansion team. He won 407 games. He started 502 games in a row in his career. And by the way, he played in the era in which goalies didn't wear masks.
Wow.
Hell of a guy. Rookie of the Year, Hall of Famer, Stanley Cup winner. Glenn Hall passes away aged 94. We talk auto racing. Team Red Bull, Geez, the drama and the controversy won't begin. Teams are getting ready in within a couple of weeks to go test to start the 2026 season. Sergio Perez was the number 2 driver for Team Red Bull for Max Verstappen. Everybody's afraid to talk about this guy, Verstappen, as great a driver as he is. Perez is not afraid. Perez, by the way, is going to be the lead driver for the new Cadillac F1 team. Held a press conference this past weekend, and he said the inherent problem at Team Red Bull is Verstappen. If things aren't going Verstappen's way, everything else is going wrong. If I had good practice sessions and I had better times than Verstappen, that was a problem. If Verstappen had bad practice times, it was a team problem. Said Verstappen never took responsibility for anything that was wrong with Team Red Bull, and he always did this, blamed everybody. He said Verstappen he called him the worst teammate he's ever been.
Here's another Marsha Brady moment.
Yeah,
Max.
Yeah, here we go. What do you think about the press conferences this year with Team Cadillac and Team Red Bull? And the other one, NASCAR. We just talked extensively in recent weeks. Redneck fans are invited to join us if you want on Fans Forum. We talked about the antitrust lawsuit, Michael Jordan's impact testimony. NASCAR's executive commissioner resigned, fired. In the course of discovery, lawyers versus lawyers, you know about all this stuff. They found all these text messages that Steve Phelps, who worked for the France family for 20 years, found all these text messages of Steve Phelps slurring, degrading comments directed towards all the legendary owners on the NASCAR circuit. The Hendricks, the Childresses, Richard Petty, Jack Roush, defamed him. They found all these text messages.
It's sacrilegious.
And this, yeah, exactly. This all showed up in discovery, which was part of the antitrust lawsuit. And suddenly Steve Phelps no longer works at NASCAR.
Yeah.
Just absolutely amazing. So, John, those are hot headlines. Pick anything you want.
They're interesting storylines, but I want to go to the Olympic arena. You know, doesn't it seem to you that like every time there's an Olympics or a World Cup, you know, whoever wins that award to host, they got to spend gazillions of dollars on facilities and infrastructure, and the whole city goes through a big transformation. So you could see how, on one hand, maybe there were construction delays, you know, because there's probably other things going on with the Olympics, or it makes you wonder if there was some sort of a money problem, you know, because you know, on one hand, was it over budget and they were already like extended for doing all this other construction for the Olympics, or, you know, God forbid, was there like corruption involved? So I'm curious to see what's the reason for this.
I'd probably check off all the boxes. Cost of steel goes up. You get labor delays. You get weather delays. And yeah, all things IOC, a little money under the table.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
How do you have 3 years to build it and you don't get it done?
Yeah, that's weak.
That's really, and it's not like Italy is the Belgium Congo, which is a third world country. It's really, really hard to believe. Okay, those are hot topics on the table. I apologize. No, I'm not going to apologize. We put a lot of information out. We give you a lot of opinions. That's because we do sports talk the way it should be done. So why should I apologize for being bleeping brilliant? But it's your turn. Time for Fans Forum. And this podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of things they can help you with. Build it, fix it. We guarantee you'll like it in 2026, thanks to DIXIELINE Lumber. John's computer's melting down. I see all the list of people who want to join us on Fans Forum. Hell, we just might go from here to Monday's show before we can get through everybody. But go ahead, John.
Yeah, I mean, we can't go all day tonight because we got the game. But let's go here. Let's start with Mario. This looks like a new name for us. Hey, and Mario says, the Chargers have never been popular in L.A. Would there ever be a possibility to return to San Diego?
Need a stadium. Who's going to build a stadium? What's the limit on your credit card? And by the way, you think Team Spanos, First Family of Football, wants to sell the franchise? Do you think the First Family of Football would be welcome back here in San Diego? At the end of the day, the one thing that's bothersome to me in our community, there's a lot of uninformed idiots running around the street who say, oh, the Chargers, the city screwed the Chargers. No, it was the other way around. The one thing that bothers me, at the end of the day, we had the chance to build a new stadium. They raised the money. City, county, NFL, and Spanos refused to negotiate. That was a sin. The second item was when the next set of proposals came up to vote, we had the Soccer City proposal and we had the San Diego State proposal. Soccer City, which wanted to build a stadium and then give it to the Aztecs. Soccer City's proposal included a tract of land on that Qualcomm site that would be reserved if somebody wanted to finance and build a stadium. They would have given them that land, that would have been mega in terms of their ability to get something accomplished. But instead, the voters voted for San Diego State to take over the entire property, and that chunk of land was not included in the San Diego State acquisition. So the Aztecs now own everything, whereas before Soccer City would have had the ability to have a stadium there. I'd love to see the NFL come back. Where are they going to play? And who's going to pay for the stadium? Big issue.
Yeah, that ship has sailed. Mm-hmm. The horses have left the barn.
Sadly.
Yeah, and then imagine if they did come back. You think we'd be greeting Dean Spanos with open arms?
Well, maybe you would.
I know. So that ain't happening. But there's been talk, maybe someday we can build a new stadium in Chula Vista. Or, everyone's got a scheme. We always hear about it.
Land acquisition? Who's paying that freight?
Yeah. Construction
cost? Who's paying that? What franchise? Expansion team? You're going to have to pay an expansion fee? You think you're going to relocate somebody in it? I mean, it's so complicated.
Well, San Diego gets a bad rap because people think, the Chargers fans, they didn't support the team.
Bullcrap.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot of fantastic, very loyal support here. Yeah, we just got screwed.
Okay. Great question, Mario. Obviously writing us from his heart. Love to see it. Don't see it happening right now. John, next one.
Okay, let's go to Isma. He goes, how many players decided not to play the bowl? That's stupid. College has to change the payments. You get 50% of the money after the last game.
Well, I made the comment as it relates, USC had 12 starters not participate. Guys opted out because they're going to the NFL. Guys decided to go into the transfer portal. At the end of the day, you change the structure. Here's the NIL contract you're going to sign. That contract means you play from opening day through whatever our last game of the season is. And you can't opt out and quit on your team. And why would you quit? You've been in the trenches with these guys all along through the whole process. So that there's got to be some structure. But, we haven't talked about it today because we didn't have enough time. But it's the University of Washington thing with Demond Williams, their star quarterback. 4 days ago, he signed an NIL agreement for 2026. And over the weekend, he announced, I'm going to the transfer portal. You can't do that. You can't violate. You can't take back. You can't rip up the NIL agreement. And now he's going to get sued, and his family's going to get sued, and the agent that's representative is going to get sued for violating the NIL deal. So, John Riley, if you take my NIL money, you got to play every game of the season from game one to whatever the last game of the year is, be it a championship game, a bowl game, whatever.
Yeah, this is just BS, this whole thing. I mean, it's just like this doesn't happen in any other sport where a player suddenly quits mid-season and is ready to jump ship to another team. So just fix the damn calendar, and just get this thing right so we don't have people bailing out like during the bowl games and during the playoffs.
College football's broken, much like college basketball is broken. Okay, we move on.
Okay, so let's talk some hockey with Callan. Hey, good afternoon, gents. Is now the time to panic about the Ducks? Thankfully, the Western Conference is having a pretty down year, unless your name is Colorado.
In terms of panic, there's not much more you can do in terms of trade. I think a lot of people are looking at Pat Verbeek right now and saying, well, you created this and they had the great run. You got to fix it. Well, how are you going to fix it? You're not going to turn around and start trading more people. I don't think he's got a lot of trade chips left that he can use, and I don't want to see him trade any more of the cornerstone young kids. They just got to figure it out, and that usually figure it out means juggling the lines, put different components with the different kids. But boy, the veterans have stopped scoring. I mean, Kreider started quick, and Chris Kreider hasn't done anything in about a month. And of course, injuries are part of that. Vetrano has not done anything in about a month. So McTavish is not quite scoring yet at the pace he scored first half of last season. Gauthier has just been wonderful. But I mean, it's a bit of a problem. I mean, we sit here right now, they're not in the playoffs in the Western Conference. 3 weeks ago, he and I were laughing about, how about those Ducks? They're in first place in the West. Not anymore. But I don't know that Pat Verbeek's got very much else to use a trade chip. They just need to find a solution from within.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, yeah, we were saying the Kings and the Ducks were like at the top of the division.
Yeah, and the Kings stopped scoring, and the Kings are kind of scuffling too. That's a coaching issue, I think. Boy, there's a move underfoot. It's time to get rid of Jim Hillier. After last year's playoff disaster, they brought him back, and now there's hardly anybody scoring with the LA Kings. It's weird. We don't get access to Ducks hockey on TV here in San Diego this year, which is really sad because I get my hockey fix. I get to see the Kings. I get to see the Ducks. And the Ducks have got so many good young kids. We just don't get to see them down here.
Well, the AAA team is here. So why wouldn't this be part of Orange Country, San Diego
Change
County?
networks, change affiliations. Yeah, I mean, they're part of that whole fiasco with Diamond Sports, Ballet Sports. FanDuel, exactly.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, Callum, thank you.
Okay, let's go to Casey to talk about these college football playoffs. Hey, good afternoon, guys. Hacksaw. Pardon me. I want to go to this one here from Casey. I have Miami beating Ole Miss and Indiana beating Oregon in both the college football playoff games.
Ole Miss is so electric offensively. Miami, I think, is a little bit deficient when they have the football in their hands. That being said, this pass rush, those two guys, Bain is phenomenal. That defensive end, those two defensive ends going after Chambliss, it's going to be fun to see how they rush him, what they do in terms of blitzes. But as we saw against Georgia, Chambliss kept breaking containment, kept making freelance plays down the field, and just finally beat them. Indiana beats Oregon. That's possible. That's why I said that Dan Lanning's X's and O's this game. They got to move the pocket. They got to go up tempo. They got to not have Dante Moore stationary. They got to create on the run. They got to throw the football a lot. If they can put drives together and keep Indiana's defense on the field, they're going to wear them out. But they can't stand in the trenches and pound them and think they can beat them, because that's how Indiana beat them the first time.
You know, my friend is an alum from IU. Is always so nervous every time the Hoosiers are playing because he knows the history. And I remember in the lead-in game, like in the first round of the playoffs, it was the winner of Alabama-Oklahoma that was going to play Indiana. And he was like really angry at Oklahoma, that they couldn't put away Alabama because he was fearful that Alabama was going to beat Indiana, which obviously that didn't happen. But what I'm getting to is that Indiana fan is always fearful that doom and gloom is about to happen. And that could happen here with Oregon. I mean, they've been knocking on the door for a while here, so this is going to be a great game, from not just the athletes on the field, but the emotions of the fan bases.
I just tend to think the psyche of Indiana fan, let's just look at the history. I don't have the number right in front of me, but top of mind, in the 136 years that Indiana played football, I think their composite record was like 510 wins, 715 losses, and maybe 47 ties. So they're like 200 games under 500. That's who IU football was. And all of a sudden, Cignetti shows up.
It's incredible.
25-2.
Well, it's during the year of the NIL, so you can move things along a lot quicker. But can you name any IU alums on the football team? I mean, that went on to great success in the NFL?
I was laughing about this because out of the clear blue sky one morning, I was thinking about the fact that we had talked about Indiana had not won the Big Ten since 1945. Indiana had not won the Rose Bowl since 1968. And I remember one of the stars of that Rose Bowl team was a running back by the name of Jade Eisenbarger. I don't know why that name came into my mind.
Jade Eisenbarger.
I interviewed him a long time ago.
Yeah.
But he was a really good running back, had a couple of years in the NFL. That's about the only star that I remember at Indiana University football.
Well, didn't the Chargers have like a third-string quarterback that was from Indiana? I don't know if that was Trent Green or someone else, maybe during the Super Bowl years.
Might have been. I'm trying to remember where Green went to school. He might have gone to Indiana.
Yeah, someone like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Indiana, what they've done the last 2 calendar years, this game's going to be great. I'm kind of emotionally saying this is the championship game. I want to see what Oregon and Dante Moore and Dan Lanning do to offset the greatness of Indiana, and Indiana is great. Just think, Indiana mugged Ohio State.
Yeah.
Just think what happened in these playoffs, what Indiana has done. It's just phenomenal.
Playoffs. Here we go. Okay, let's go to Lion. He goes, I'm hoping for another Charger early exit, Hacksaw. Going to be some good hate watching.
Justin Herbert's Superman. Justin Herbert's going to have to be Superman. But, there is a flip side here. Who has New England played and beat? I got, of their 17 games, 12 of them were against non-playoff teams. So let's just let it play out. It's going to be fun. There's no doubt that Herbert and Drake May might be the next coming of superstar quarterbacks based on what they've been able to do. It's going to be a fun game. I root for Herbert. I'm violating the code in the press box. The rule is no cheering in the press box. I root for Justin Herbert. I root that Dean Spanos fails. That's what I feel. But Chargers, they've got a good team. A little bit banged up. Joe Ortiz, I think, as a player personnel acquisition guy, has done a hell of a job in his last 2 drafts and what he's been able to find on the street in free agency. So it's going to be a good game. Boy, there's so many good games. Saturday, Sunday, into Monday. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just, get a little mini fridge next to the couch. I mean, it's going to be football for the next 5 days. It's going to be great.
Tell the wife you'll see her Tuesday morning. That's all.
But with the Chargers, I'll tell you what, is that I'm still dealing with a lot of that
angst.
You're still bitter over the girlfriend breaking up with you. It's that sort of thing. So I still, I'm getting drawn back into following the Chargers because we do the podcast together, and I like learning about all the different players. But I can still never quite root for the team to win. It's just it is like I think what Lion's saying. It's entertaining when you see them just come up just short.
My favorite phrase is, I hope Justin Herbert goes 17-0 because I have high regard for Superman. I hope Dean Spanos goes 0-17 because of what he did to our community. I'm sure there's counseling and medication that I could have for that, but that's what I think.
Okay, let's keep on going here. We'll go to Mark. He goes, hey, the Rams need to come in with extreme focus.
Oh, I think they are. And the fact that Devontae Adams, who was out 3 weeks with a hamstring, is now practicing full and back. And they're getting Quentin Lake back at safety because he'd been on IR for a while. I think they're good to go. And, I mean, it is stunning to me that the Rams lost at Carolina. At Carolina, who? Weeks and weeks ago, that kind of started the dominoes falling. And, I mean, have the Rams emotionally recovered from the crushing loss to Seattle? That's a big question. But Seattle's really good. Carolina is not Seattle. In fact, I don't even think Carolina deserves to be invited to this party at 8-9 on the season. But violating the press box rule again. Let's root for Matthew Stafford. That's a hell of a leader. And when you throw for 4,700 yards and 46 touchdowns at age 37. And he's got all this experience. Carolina's never walked down this road before. This Rams team has been to the Super Bowl twice with Matthew Stafford. So they got a good chance anybody represent the NFC in the championship game.
Yeah, I mean, there is an argument to be made that they could have or maybe should have been the number 1 seed.
Well,
right?
that was taken away from them by virtue of what happened at the end in Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle did that to the Niners too. So, but I just got to believe, I think the Rams, I mean, that's the team I have the most confidence it's going to go all the way.
They're the most dangerous.
Exactly. So I just wonder about Carolina and, Bryce Young, at least he's not abysmal like he was in the beginning. He's got him, they're still under 500. It's like the group of 6 again in the NFL playoffs.
How do you explain a quarterback who throws for 333 one week and throws for 57 the next week? An NFL quarterback throwing for 57 yards. And I think he's had at least 3 games this year where he threw for under 100 in each of those games.
Well, I was just trying to think off the top of my head, what are the other stars for that team, for the Panthers? Well, I know they had McMillan. They drafted him.
The kid from the University of Arizona's got 70 catches, 14 yards per reception. He's a stud.
It's amazing you know that data.
Yeah. Well, I'm a smart guy. Thank you. And they got 2 heavy-duty running backs. They got Rico Dowdle, who came from Dallas. And then they got a young guy, Chuba Hubbard, who had been there a couple of years. And between them, I want to say they might have 1,600, 1,700 yards rushing, but they don't scare me. They're just not explosive. And which Bryce Young shows up. So that's where we are. Okay, we'll move on.
We move on. Okay, let's go to Flegel. He goes, guys, I see over-officiated coming, but I still hope for a better future.
He must be talking about striped shirts, NFL.
I think so.
Yeah. I want to see changes in officiating. They got to fix it. There's too many things happening in which there are blown calls or calls that they can't use replay for. You got technology. Use the technology to make the perfect call. No, I don't want to see every play challenged. At the end of the day, there's just too much stuff that's happening that impacts the outcome of game. Notably, all this grabbing and clutching and holding and pass interference and goes uncalled. And one crew calls it and views it differently than the next crew, and the third crew does it differently than the other two. They got to solve this, and there's an awful lot of outcry from the coaches. We need to fix this.
Yeah, well, the more technology, the better, in my opinion. Like whenever, and this is true in any sport, when they ever have like a referee timeout to go to review it, or they have to wait on, headquarters to review it, I don't have a problem waiting. And people usually get angry. This is taking too long. It's destroying the rhythm of the game, the pace of play. We're going to lose non-fans. And I'm like, it's okay, man. I'll just
get it right.
Yeah, get it right, man. I'll go get another beer out of the fridge. It's all good.
Okay.
So, but yeah, just get it right. But I mean, remember back in the days when the NFL didn't have replay and the crazy stuff that we used to see? At least those horribly egregious ones are not happening anymore.
You mean the tuck rule and holy roller?
Yeah, those are just to name two.
Okay. Flegel, thanks for being with us, man.
Okay, this is a great one here. This is from Joseph. Happy New Year, Lee and John. Let's hope that the Padres will fill out their roster and make it to the playoffs yet again and beat the Dodgers this season. Joseph from Brazil.
How about that? South America checks in. Oh, Canada Network, where are you? You've been outdone by the guy from one of the boys from Brazil.
The boys from Brazil.
But, at the end of the day, it's interesting. Jim Bowden, a longtime general manager who now works for The Athletic, wrote a column this morning of teams that are letting their fans down. And he named the Yankees and Mets because of their inactivity or defection of players. He named the Padres, too. And he kind of inferred ownership said we're going to spend money, and even though the franchise might be up for sale, he said they haven't spent money. I mean, outside of the acquisition of Song, the Korean shortstop, Padres have not really done anything. Now, I have a list of the minor leaguers that have signed. I've signed, I think, 9 minor leaguers. And again, these are guys that maybe they can discover who can do this. And A.J. Preller has historically done this, notably either in the minor leagues or from what he did in Japan and Korea. But at the end of the day, they're not the same team. And yes, it was an important they re-signed Michael King, sure. But will it be the 100% Michael King that we all saw grow into being a really good starting pitcher? Or will it be a little bit less than that because of the health issues? And we all know what Joe Musgrove was. But coming back off that type of surgery, that's no guarantee he'll be Joe Musgrove, vintage Joe Musgrove. So we still have answers beyond Nick Pivetta. And at this point, there's so many guys off the board, there's hardly anybody left in free agency that they can afford, and that's the issue. And they are already at the luxury tax level. So anything more they get, they got to pay luxury tax on whoever they're bringing in. And that's what chased them away from Amai, the Japanese pitcher, who I thought they had a legitimate chance to get because they gave him a creative contract. I was told it was 3 years, $33 million with opt-outs, where you prove yourself, you can go get a bigger payday. But then the agent came back and said, we want 3 years, maybe $50 million. And by the way, we want an innings bonus every year on top of it. And all of a sudden, it became way too steep for the Padres because they'd have to pay a posting fee to the Cebu Lions. And that's why they did not get the Japanese pitcher. He wound up going to Houston because they were willing to pay it. So money is still, I think money is a big issue, and now there's hardly any names left. And even if you're going to trade somebody, who are you trading, and what does it create a different hole on your roster? If you trade Cronenworth to get a mid-level starter, that sounds fine. But now you got a hole at second base or a hole in your backup first baseman. So it's not the roster we had, and at this point I'm having a tough time seeing how they can create more acquisitions. Now, the cheerleader co-host here has got an opinion. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Padre roster, there's a lot of talent there. I mean, if everyone played to their potential, or played above average, we'd be in great shape. I mean, there's still holes to fix. But you got Merrill, Tatis, Machado, you got King, you got Pivetta.
Yeah, but there are still question marks, and there's no Cease and there's no Suarez.
Right, of course. There are question marks, but it's not doom and gloom. I think if you look at it on paper, you'd say, I think that's a playoff team. So, again, Preller has more work to do. But I want to just do something out here to the audience. And if you're watching on the live stream or you're watching the recorded version, I'd love to do a roll call. I mean, if you could just, in the live chat, just type in the city where you are. Because I know we have a lot of locals that follow us here in San Diego, in Southern California. But there's fans that watch this live stream from Brazil, from New Mexico, from Canada. We had a guy from, was it Korea or Japan, like earlier this year?
Korea.
It was Korea. So, just type in there. I would love to find out where you're hailing from.
Brazil, great to have you on board. Happy New Year, Joseph. Thank you. Go ahead, John.
Okay, let's go to Everyone Loves PE. Lee and John, I think the Padres franchise can be proud that it was the first to integrate the old Pacific Coast League, similar to what the Dodgers did.
Yeah, that was great tradition, the old Coast League. Not as historic as, say, what was going on in Los Angeles, what happened in San Francisco. The old Pacific Coast League was it was great. The PCL back in the 40s and 50s, then they played. I've done all kinds of research on this, and I've got some historical books in my library. They played, in 1 year, they played 211 games in the Pacific Coast League.
In a season?
In a season, because of the weather. And those guys, there were guys who would spend their whole career in the PCL because they could make more money than they could being at the end of a major league roster. I mean, it's amazing. And guys, it was a pitcher, you might have to look this up. I think his name was Frank Schellenbeck. I think he pitched 21 years in the old Coast League. There's big-time, old-time hitters that stayed here because they were making a lot of money. They lived in the sunshine, and maybe they weren't Yankee Stadium caliber, but they decided to stay in the Coast League. So Coast League was a real power. There was a stretch. I recall this. I was a kid. Growing up, I heard this, I read about it. There was a stretch in the 1950s where there was a proposal to start a third league, and they were going to build it based on Branch Rickey might have been the one with the idea. We start a third league, and let's just start it with franchises that were in Los Angeles, the Hollywood Stars, in San Francisco Seals, in Seattle, San Diego Padres. But it never gained a foothold. It wasn't just an idea out there.
Pretty cool. I think actually here, Everyone Loves PE is referring to, I think it's John Ritchie. Wasn't that his name?
Well, he pitched for the Padres, but I don't think he was not a 25-year guy.
No. But he was like the Jackie Robinson of the Pacific Coast League.
African-American.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, that's a pretty cool piece of history right there for the Padres.
You got a lot of spare time on your hands. You just ought to Google sometime history of the Pacific Coast League, and you go back, and you'll see the books that have a lot of great SABR, which is the research arm of baseball. A lot of guys have written a lot of great think pieces about the old Pacific Coast League. I mean, this was great. The Hollywood Stars, the original Los Angeles Angels. And then obviously Seattle had a franchise, Vancouver had a franchise, Portland franchise, and the Padres too. Great tradition in the PCL.
It's interesting you mentioned the Hollywood Stars because I've seen like old black and white photos of, the players that were in that, and it was part of the Pacific Coast League. But then there's always the Hollywood Stars is like the name of like the celebrity softball team, from Sunset Strip when they come and play like at Dodger Stadium. Yep. That's a whole other thing. Yeah,
it's cool. But the Internet's neat. If you just, I'll give you an example. Just type in Pacific Coast League history images. It'll take you right to pictures.
Oh, yeah.
And just fill up your computer and say, wow.
Seal Stadium.
Exactly.
Yeah. But Ted Williams played in the PCL, right? For the Padres.
As a teenager, yes. I think he played 1 year.
But back then, was it like a AAA or was it like an independent league?
No, it was whatever the minor league affiliation was. I don't know if it was Class A.
But it was linked to a major league team on the East Coast.
No, all those teams were, for the most part, were independents.
Interesting. Okay.
Minor league. But Google it, you get a kick out of it. If you're a baseball junkie, stroll down memory lane. Good point. Thanks, Ev.
Okay, let's go here to Chris. He goes, go Canes, beat Ole Miss.
Won't be easy. Like I say, Chambliss is going to have to move the pocket, going to throw the football. The pass rush is going to be fierce. Those are the two storylines. Where are those defensive ends? Or are they in the backfield chasing a quarterback? How are they going to counteract that pass rush? I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the whole Lane Kiffin thing is just weird, because the way he's, cherry picking some of those coaches out. Who's going to step forward? Is it going to be like a Jerry Neuheisel situation where this young, like almost like an intern is suddenly the offensive coordinator for Ole Miss? I mean, what's going to happen?
Well, Weiss is staying. He's being allowed to stay. Charlie Weiss, the son of the legendary NFL assistant, is being allowed to stay as the offensive coordinator through the championship game if they get that far. But at one point there were 7 LSU coaches who went with Lane, 7 who coached the last week, but only 2 are allowed to coach this game.
Yeah, I mean, Oxford must be so pissed at Lane Kiffin. And doesn't this just fit everything we know about Lane Kiffin?
Slick or slimy.
Yeah, exactly.
I told you so.
Okay, let's go here to Arnie. He goes, if Jesse Minter goes for a head coach job, hire Jim Harbaugh as defensive coordinator.
You mean John Harbaugh?
Yeah, I think he probably means John.
No,
yeah.
I don't think so, because I think John's going to get a head coaching job, and he's going to get a choice of head coaching jobs. It's interesting. He's not interviewing yet. When he got let go, the report was, I think there were 7 teams that called him. Only 6 had openings. So people were contemplating, maybe I'm going to make a change, and we'll bring John Harbaugh in for an interview. He's going to get his choice of jobs. One of the theories that just happened this morning was what happened in Miami with their turnaround decision. Mike McDaniel met yesterday with Stephen Ross and kind of did a season review. He went home. Was going to have a follow-up meeting today. He walked in. Stephen Ross terminated him. And that's because Miami's been so erratic the last couple of years. But the theory is they're looking for a general manager in Miami, and they're bringing back the Charger assistant general manager, Chad Alexander, who is from Baltimore. He's a Ortiz guy. So if they hire Chad Alexander, what do you think? You want to connect the dots that Chad Alexander would then hire John Harbaugh, go to Miami, and try to fix it?
It just, John Harbaugh to the New York Football Giants just sounds so obvious.
It does, but they also need somebody with offensive skill to solve the quarterback kid, develop the wide receivers and the running back. There's, John, as I said half hour ago, there are so many good coaching candidates out there right now. I mean, start with John Harbaugh, go to Stefanski, who was 2-time coach of the year before this quarterback crisis wrecked everything in Cleveland. Look at all the defensive coordinators that are out there that have got track records of success. So I think there's some pretty good people out there.
Yeah, I mean, the coaching carousel, it's spinning around. Let's go to Michael. Hey, what is the NHL record for wins and points for the season, and can the Avs break it?
Yeah, they're on a track right now. I mean, it's amazing. And again, they've been a really good franchise for a long period of time. I don't have the stat off the top of my head as to, is it 120 points, whatever it is. But they went through a bunch of injuries, and that was an issue. And now they got everybody back, and they got their goaltending problems solved. That's a really good Avalanche franchise, and is obviously better than, at this point, anybody else in the NHL Western Conference. Playoffs can be interesting.
I mean, Callan was saying earlier that the Western Conference is kind of down, except for the Avs.
Well, Edmonton is not what Edmonton was. Mm-hmm. Edmonton's had kind of a weird first half of the season, but they think they solved the goaltending problem when they made the trade for Tristan Jarry out of Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago, and then he shows up, he's got a knee injury. Now he's on the injured reserve list. So Vancouver has absolutely fallen off the face of the earth. It's like they've dismantled it. Minnesota's really dangerous. Minnesota Wild got a lot of goal scorers. The Kings have obviously not been what we thought the Kings might be. Now we're talking upper echelon. So, yeah, there's some strange stuff going on. Vegas is good. It's weird. Vegas got Mitch Marner, and it's like he hasn't done anything in the first half of the season, yet Vegas is upper echelon in the NHL West. So playoffs in the West will be rugged. But Colorado seems to be separating itself from everybody else.
So we're kind of near the halfway point of the season, aren't we? Yeah, all right, here we go. All right, let's go to Jim. This is some interesting comments about the Hawks. He says, hey, the Hawks need to move to another city, a.k.a. Seattle, to become competitive. They're treated as an afterthought in Atlanta compared to the Braves, Falcons, and even the Atlanta United.
Well, they've not been good for a long period of time, and that's a piece of the problem there in Atlanta. The league is not going to relocate somebody into Las Vegas nor Seattle. I think those are going to wind up being expansion teams, and that's going to happen sometime in 2026. The expansion committee will make a choice because they've already done their evaluations, and I think there will be 2 expansion teams, and they're both going to be out here, one in Vegas, and then obviously one's going back to replace the old Seattle Supersonics. But the Atlanta Hawks are not in jeopardy of being transferred. They just need to get this thing corrected.
You remember when the Supersonics got bought by the guy that now owns the Thunder? And everyone said, you're going to move the team to Oklahoma City. And he goes, no, I'm not going to do that.
And he did.
And then he did.
But that was an arena problem. They could not get an arena built.
Was it Key Arena? Was that what it was called?
Yes. And then eventually what they did was a group, Oakview Financial, went in there, took over the arena, gutted it, renovated it. That's how they got the hockey franchise, expansion franchise.
The Kraken.
Yeah. And now Seattle is, because of that renovated arena, now is a front runner to wind up getting an NBA expansion team. So sometime in 2026, there's going to be an announcement. We'll be talking about 2 expansion teams in a league.
Okay. All right, this is talking some L.A. sports talk here with Bob. He goes, hey, Lee's former coworkers at 710 don't care about the Chargers. They treat them like the Clippers. Support the Chargers because of Herbie and Coach Harbaugh.
Yeah, I subscribe to that. I still maintain the Chargers are on the periphery of fan support there because it's a Laker-Dodger team. And by the way, the Rams have got Super Bowl trophies, and the First Family Football Team, Spanos, has none. But that being said, does not mean that Ortiz has not done a good job, does not mean that Harbaugh is not a masterpiece in terms of coaching through adversity and getting them to succeed, and does not mean that Harbaugh is one of the unbelievable gifted quarterbacks in the league. So you take ownership and look at them in one prism. The other prism, you look at all the positives that go with Charger football. Got to win a playoff game, have not won a playoff game. Sunday night's going to be a hard playoff game for them in New England.
Sometimes you'll hear L.A. sports fans kind of, just reacting, and they'll say, well, yeah, we don't care about the Clippers and Chargers. Those are the San Diego teams. Take them back. All we care about are the Dodgers and the Lakers.
Exactly.
And then, maybe the Rams every once in a while. And we love our Kings.
Well, my guy Scott Kaplan, is doing one of the sports talk shows up there at 710 ESPN, and he's got strong opinions about the Chargers. And, of course, Kaplan still lives down here. So it's interesting to hear what my guys have to say up there, the guys that I'm still friends with. But at the end of the day, it's L.A., and the Dodgers and the Lakers drive L.A., and rightfully so. The unique thing to me is the Dodger-Lakers' unbelievable explosive growth has driven USC and UCLA off the radar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenal. The Trojans and Bruins are not viewed as what they used to be.
Yeah, I remember that. And when I lived in the late 80s, I lived in L.A. for a few years, and it seemed like college football was a bigger deal than the NFL football. Yeah. And I thought that was weird, on the West Coast, because usually college football isn't as dominant of a cultural thing on the West Coast.
Yeah. Now, if the Rams had come back and Kroenke's team had never dominated, or the Rams had come back and they hadn't won, if there had been no Matthew Stafford, then maybe the Chargers might have made some inroads. But I just don't get the sense, because of what the Rams have accomplished, the Chargers are held in anywhere near the same esteem. I don't see that at all.
Yeah, interesting. But they're still way up there in terms of attendance.
But that half of that is Green Bay Packer fan, Eagle fan, Raider Nation fan.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I don't see a hell of a lot of Charger gear. My funny statement here in San Diego, and I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. I mean, I have Charger gear. I wear my Charger hoodie every once in a while, and people look at me sideways. But I have an affinity towards the players and the history of the franchise and the Bolt. But I never see anybody in San Diego wearing Charger gear. Hardly anybody.
I've seen online comments from Charger fans that they say there's still a ton of San Diego Charger fans that commute not just up to SoFi, but go on the road and support this team. And that, it's kind of like maybe not a silent majority, but a silent group of Charger fans in San Diego, because you don't want to say it too loud, because people will say, "What the hell are you doing? You're rooting for Hitler."
Yeah, I have an emotional attachment to the lightning bolt. It'll always be that way.
Okay.
All right. Hey, we got a lot of social media here. You want to get to a few of them?
I do want to get to a few of them. So let's roll over here to social media. And who do we want to go? Here's some Dodger talk. And this is from Art Ramirez. And he says, and this is about, they're going out looking for more Dodger pitching depth. Mm-hmm. He says, hey, it's not necessarily the Dodgers want to go get more pitching. It's about using that depth to acquire more quality. It also as much as about the 40-man roster and some of their top prospects that will need to be included. They don't want to risk losing high-end prospects or MLB talent to the Rule 5 draft.
Yeah, but for the most part, they've been able to protect most of their guys, and they don't trade any of their marquee guys. I mean, outside of the James Outman trade a couple years ago, and he was a hot prospect but never got it done at Dodger Stadium, never got it done at Wrigley Field with the Cubs. They don't give their guys away. It's weird to me. I mean, the last rumor that's this past week was, why would they want Freddie Peralta from Milwaukee? They don't need starting pitching. They're at least 6 deep, veteran, established starters with 5 other guys waiting in line. And you bring on Peralta, you take it on the last year of his contract at $8 million, but because of the luxury tax, it cost you $10 million in tax payments to bring him on. Why would you trade for Peralta on a 1-year extension? It's odd to me. They still need a left fielder. There's still time for them to address it. We're 5 weeks out from the start of spring training, so it is interesting. But they make deals, and John and I laugh about this. They make deals. John, they still have everybody in the farm. They didn't give anybody up. They didn't give any of the blue chip guys, and yet they made another acquisition. And we'll see if they wind up with Peralta, but there are other people talking in Milwaukee too.
Well, they don't miss too often on who they sign or who they trade on. But Gavin Lux and Dustin May are no longer there. But those are rare exceptions to your point. But this is, talk about living the life of luxury. You already have all-stars and Hall of Famers throughout that 26-man roster. You have the top prospects on the back end of the 40-man. And now you're saying, well, maybe we could combine 2 good players into 1 great player and make the roster even better. It's like a kid that was getting an A in class and still does all the extra credit.
Rich get richer.
Exactly.
We'll see if Peralta winds up at Dodger Stadium. If not, I do think they have to make an acquisition, somebody to play left field. Okay, John.
Okay, let's go here. Let's talk about the Raiders. This is with the alpha protagonist. He goes, sorry, Lee, but you're letting Carroll and maybe Spytek off the hook with that piss-poor roster. This was a lot of house cleaning when they arrived. Give me Gruden and Telesco.
I'll pass on Gruden. Telesco is a very conservative guy and didn't give him enough time. I will say this, Telesco left him with 11 draft picks in the dresser drawer, and he left him with $116 million in cap space. Was Carroll a bad hire? No. Big track record, great resume. Now, if there's a critique, some of the coaches on Carroll's staff, the stuff that I've heard after the firing, and he had a son as the offensive line coach, and that was a terrible situation. But they also had injuries, and they had no roster, and then they lost a whole bunch of free agents. And why they ever let a bunch of those guys on the defensive side leave, the Diablos of the world, the linebackers and the guys in the secondary, kind of stunned me, because I thought Pete comes in, he's going to glue this together, and they'll be competitive, and they weren't competitive because of defections, and then they had to rent veterans, half of them who couldn't play any longer. So it's just a bad set of circumstances. I tend to think it was kind of an unfair firing of Pete Carroll, but end of the day, new broom sweeps clean. Now Spytek and Tom Brady going to hire whomever they're going to hire, and they've got to fix it. But they do have the number 1 pick, and they have 2 number 1 picks. So it's going to be interesting.
So they did house cleaning last offseason. They got to do another round of it this offseason.
Yeah, but the roster is void of talent. I mean, outside of the running back, the 2 tight ends, the left tackle, and Mad Max Crosby, I just don't like anything that's on that roster. Mm-hmm. That's not a hell of a lot of quality players to build around. Going to be interesting going forward. I feel bad for Pete. Pete's a hell of a guy, but didn't work. Move on.
We are running out of time, Lee.
Oh, we are. My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. John wants to go get a few cold ones because we're waiting for the football game to start. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed our podcast. Tell everybody about what we're all about. We're here Mondays at 1:30, Thursdays at 1:30. Share, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, give us a 5-star rating. Hit the follow button. It really helps our growth. You are going to enjoy college football Thursday, college football Friday, wild card weekend Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We're going to be back here Monday afternoon to recap it all. John, is it kickoff time yet? Have yourself a great sports weekend.
Yeah, 5 days of football.
You have a great sports weekend, too. This podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. Thanks to them for being part of our team. Thanks to you for being part of Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast app.
Touchdown, San Diego!
For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.